Hi everyone, my name's Chris Shaw. I'm going to do the curves of pursuit in Geogebra. So this is how I like to set Geogebra up before I start. You might find that the labeling sometimes goes a bit awry. It labels things that you don't want it to label, so I tend to have it on this setting, new points only, rather than everything being labelled, which I think is the default. But you can change that. The other thing to say is auxiliary objects. Some objects in GeoGebra are what they call auxiliary, which sort of reside in a different area, and you can show or hide those as you want. For the time being, I'm going to turn that off, which I think is the default setting anyway. I might turn it on again to show you later on. I'm going to create these curves of pursuit in the spreadsheet view, so I need to turn on the spreadsheet view, and while the settings window is open you can drag these views around. So I'm going to put, say, the spreadsheet, where should I put it? On it there, I think. So that's how I'm going to tile my views, and you can see I've got the spreadsheet here. And it works pretty much like a normal spreadsheet. Sometimes it's a little bit glitchy, but it's pretty useful. The other thing is to say that each of the cells is a GeoGebra object. So within each cell can reside a function or a command, whatever you want to put in them. And the cells are stored as those auxiliary objects. So they won't appear in the algebra window here unless you have that checkbox showing auxiliary objects. So yeah, it works just like Excel. Sometimes it's a bit glitchy. Sometimes the drag function doesn't work too well, especially if you've got very complicated commands in there. I've not had a lot of success with absolute referencing with the dollar signs. That might be just me, or I don't know if it's a problem. But we're not going to do anything too complicated today. So I am going to create 4 points for my 4 points of curves of pursuit. You could create obviously 3, 5, as many as you want. I'm just going to do it with 4. And so here we go. I'm going to type in my first coordinate, 4, 4, and I'm going to do -4, 4, and -4, -4, and 4, -4. So those are my 4 points of my first square, and I need to actually join them up to be a square. And I'm going to resize my cell so it's easier to see what you're typing, and I'm going to do polyline. Now you can click into these cells. For instance, if I click A1, you'll see A1 appears, but again I sometimes don't have a lot of success with this and I find it easier to type. So I'm going to do B1, C1, D1, and then I need to close it, so I'm going back to A1, and there is my square drawn around my 4 points. Now I need to create this square that's inside and slightly twisted round, and to do that I'm going to use the enlarge function, which is a command that's within GeoGebra. For my American friends, I think it's called dilate, but we're going to call this enlarge in the UK. So I'm going to type in enlarge, and the way enlarge works is you enlarge an image or an object and by a scale factor, and you can choose the center of enlargement. So I'm going to enlarge B1, and I'm going to do it by a scale factor of an 1/8. You can pick other scale factors. I just found an 1/8 worked pretty nicely for this. And I'm going to do it from A1. So before I press enter, you might want to think, what's it going to do? It's going to scale factor B from a B1 from a center A1, and it's going to do it 1/8 of the way along. And there it is. And now I am going to just drag that, because it's a simple command And you'll see it's done something a bit weird in cell D, because if you noticed how I clicked it, this is doing D1 and C1, but of course when I get to here it can't draw on E1, or it's trying to draw this polyline tool and use it as the enlargement, and it's all got a bit confused. So I need to delete that one, and while we're there I'll show you the auxiliary tools. I want to delete all of that junk that it's created, these B1 and so on. So I'm just going to delete these. Oh, what's it doing? So I'm going to delete that one, delete that one, delete that one, delete that one, and my image is in the way. I'm going to delete this one. Oh, it's not letting me do it. Here we are. Okay. So that was because I dragged it over into the cell I didn't want, and I just put that in there so that you could see, you know, some of the things you need to be aware of. So I'm going to do the same enlargement equals enlarge, but this time I need to do it. I'm going to do obviously A1 by the scale factor of an eighth, and I want to do that from D1, and so now you can see it's occurred in the right place, and I can just drag these down, and maybe let's do, oh, that's probably too many, it's very quick, let's do about 20 I think, and there they all are. Obviously it's not drawn the squares because I haven't done my polyline tool yet, so we can do that now. I can just drag down my polyline tool. Ooh, too far again. There it is. The other thing is, you can see because of the labeling, and I had new points labeled, it's put all of those points in and it's labeled all of those points. So I think we need to get rid of all that labeling. So I'm going to highlight all of that, and I'm going to turn off the labeling. I don't want to see those labels, and actually I probably don't even want to see those points, so I'm going to turn off those points. And lastly, I want to not see the labels on those my first 4 points, but I'll leave those points there. And there it is. I'm going to tidy this up. I'm going to change the view. So let's turn off the spreadsheet view. Let's turn off the algebra view. Let's get rid of the grid. And let's get rid of the axes, and there are my curves of pursuit, and this is all dynamic, so I can drag it around in any shape that I want, and I think it's really nice. Okay, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.